Wow. And like I saw some your clips and I saw like people talking about you, like they always mention like you are very resilient. You always like face adversity, face like tough decisions in your life, and then still you came out a better person like from that. Can I ask like what does resilience mean to you?
Well, it means different things to different people, but I think resilience ultimately just means that you didn't give up. You fought to the very end. Sometimes the battle is not going to be won, but yet you're not going to close your eyes prematurely to the fight. And but I think that you know in terms of resilient people, and I want your listeners to realize this, is that this is something that you can learn. There's tactics to be better at being resilient. There's a lot of things that might be thrown your way, and there's different techniques to deal with it. And also, um, in this day of mental health and mental illness and mindset, I think we try to take on things too often just ourselves, right? It's if you're dealing with something in private, too many people have committed suicide. Too many people have been down on themselves in terms of what they're doing, and it's not because they may not be resilient. It's just because they're resilient has a certain level if you keep it in, right? You don't tell people, you're afraid, you're ashamed of what your situation is. So for me, I had two choices to make in my life, and one choice was to just give up and essentially be this disabled kid who relied on my mom and dad and um, didn't give life a chance. Or it could be take hold of what I had in front of me, my new reality, being a kid with one leg, and how do you deal with that, and how do you deal with the public pressure of kids seeing you that way, and kids can be cruel at that age. You just kind of make the best of it, right? So my talk was talking to people and trying to make the best of it. And then you realize, especially we're talking about it like in the 80s, people don't care. I mean, you have this idea, I've got one leg, and for a long time I thought people cared. Well, they don't, right? And I think these days, when we're in the 2021 and going forward, people are a lot more tolerant of our differences than we ever have been. Not to say that it's certainly by any stretch of the imagination, the we're there. There's still people who will hate. There's still people who will, get on you for what you look like, your
Mhm.
your skin color, what you wear, how you look, whatever. But there is there's some changes that's been happening, I believe, and I think that you just need to band together. And I was just trying to, as far as being resilient, is showing your strengths, right? And I think showing my strengths, I was able to make it a little bit better.
And you are such a leader, great leader yourself, and now you're also like managing growth. How you would teach someone, or how would you like suggest someone like to be more resilient? Like what are some tactics you would suggest? Like you can like try using this, you can try using that, and then you can maybe like become more tolerant, become more resilient to that factor.
Well, I think that it comes down to just analyzing the situation. If you're in a certain situation, just learn as much as you can. You know, Obviously, when you're younger, resiliency at that age just becomes with that fight or flight kind of mentality. But when you're older, and if something happens to you, and just learn that you don't need that to have all the answers.
Mhm.
In terms of managing, or in terms of being a leader, in terms of trying to overcome things, you can rely on other people to help you, right? Other people who have expertise. And so in terms of like resiliency of moving up, it's just about increasing your scope, and increasing your responsibility. But perhaps life experiences, that's why they call it life experiences, in terms of what you're doing, right? My management style is not just based on the time that I've been a manager or my work experiences. My management style is based on years of what I've seen on a swim team, or
Yeah.
previous positions, or trying to be the leader on the swim team. And you may often hear that people say leaders definitely need a title to lead, right? So leaders can be anybody. And I would say that a lot of leaders, you have to be resilient, because there's a lot of things coming your way, and you have to be able to deal with them. So take a look at 5 different leaders that in your own personal life, and think, do I know if that person's resilient? And then further than that, if you want to be better at resiliency, and you say to somebody, I think that person's a leader. And why is that person a leader? And then so talk to that person, especially if you want to get better. Like say, listen, one-on-one, I see that you lead this company, you're the CEO, you're wherever the case may be. I assume you didn't get there by fluke or chance. So what is it that has made you successful, and what has it made you resilient to what you're doing? And I think once we get that growth mindset instead of a fixed mindset, and I think for anybody watching, I would suggest going out and Googling growth mindset versus fixed mindset, because it's a very big thing in terms of our development as people, being open to different things. But when you're fixed, it's like that ball is, this phone is red. No, it's green. No, it's red. No, it's clearly green, but people just are not open enough to change their minds. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And like one thing I just caught my interest, like you said that sometimes people say like success is like, is it like by fluke or not? Like, could you please tell me, can success be achieved overnight? Like sometimes I see like on a social media, like they become successful overnight. But I believe that there might be like a process behind that to become successful overnight. Like there might be hard work. But what would you say, like, can success be achieved overnight, like in very short period? And if not, like, then what is the process to become successful?
Well, if you go tonight and buy a lottery ticket and win tonight, then I guess maybe that's your definition of success, being a millionaire. Then all the power to you. But generally, when you think about success and then overcoming obstacles and doing your part, it's more along the lines of when you see an iceberg, and you may see 20% of that iceberg above the water, but 80% of it's below the water. And the stuff that's below the water is all the things that have gone into making that iceberg where it is, right? If it was a tiny little iceberg, it's not going to be 20 feet above the water, because it's going to grow until you start seeing the results of the build. So certainly working together in terms of success. I'm very big on teamwork. I'm very big on everybody helping each other out, and the idea of teamwork to me is like together everyone achieves more. And you're not going to, it's kind of like dieting, losing weight. You're not going to like all of a sudden lose 20 pounds overnight, because if you do, you're probably going to gain it back the next day. It's a gradual process for most people. Now that time may vary from 2 weeks to 2 months to 3 months, but how does that change? If you're playing the piano, you're going to all of a sudden know how to play the piano in a week or two? I doubt it, right? You may be able to have a little bit of a instrumental going on, but you're probably not going to be able to truly learn it, or a language. It's not going to take it overnight. So certainly things take time. Things worth working for take time. But honestly, that's why it's so sweet, or bittersweet, I guess, at the end. The Olympics are every 4 years. If the Olympics were held every year or every 6 months or whatever, then it wouldn't be as big a deal when you win or you do well, right? So there's a reason that there's a quadrennial. There's a reason. Well, now it's 5 years, but there's a reason that's in place. It's because people realize that it takes a lot of time to be successful, and the Olympics or Paralympics, in my case, are a metaphor for life. You get in there and you just keep moving, right? And it's a series of goal setting, short-term goals leading to long-term goals. What's a short-term goal? So long-term goals typically within 1 year of setting them. So the short-term goals help that. So where am I after this month? Where am I after month 2? How fast should I go in the pool? What's my goals at work? Do I have monthly goals to reach the long-term goals? These things take time. So I would say everything that I've sort of accomplished in my life takes more than a couple days. That's for sure.